Hello dear friends, glad to be back. Today is 7th of December, now it's 9:30 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second update will be a little bit late, and in second update I will share latest update from Russian Defense Ministry about progress of special military operation in previous 24 hours, and I will definitely try to make third short video about one of the major topics of the day, and same time I will make some extra update for Patreon community also, because unfortunately yesterday I couldn't manage to make update for Patreon, and I apologize for that before our Patreon community. I will compensate for it today with the update. And dear friends, before I continue, also let me express my gratitude towards all of you, and thank you for kind words and wishes that I received yesterday in the comment section. For last about week or also I do experiencing some issues with blood pressure, and yesterday I was really struggling to make main update, to record main update in the morning, and well, thank you very much for your attention. I will definitely take a look on closer look on this issue. I'm gonna see if in next several days pressure will regulate itself. Okay, if not, then of course I'm gonna make appointment to doctor, although I don't want to do so, to be honest. But well, we may be forever young, our soul, but our bodies are not, and times are coming when you have to pay attention to some stuff that you are not used to, including blood pressure, heart, and you know. So but anyway, let's talk about news now, and I will start with short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. As I mentioned yesterday in a second update, short video, I did share a report of Russian Defense Ministry about previous 24 hours, and according to that report, and also according to media, Russian media and Russian military channels, there was no significant changes on any of the sectors of the front line, although hostilities on the line of contact are increasing, especially in the Krasny Liman direction, which is this area, by the way, northern sector of the front line, and also Donetsk direction is of course quite intense always, and as a result of local scale clashes, artillery duels, drone wars, and reckoning force operations, Russian Defense Ministry reported that Ukrainian forces lost more than 1,000 military personnel killed and wounded. Very high number, and we clearly can see that in last several days intensity of clashes are significantly increasing, although we are not yet talking about some breakthroughs on any of the sector of the front line. Mainly activities are conducted by Russian side and all along the front line, and I see this activization as a preparation of the ground for upcoming winter offensive of Russian armed forces, which will take place, in my understanding, in late January, early February. So let's see. Also, dear friends, Russian Defense Ministry reported that Kiev regime lost not just over 1,000 military personnel during the previous 24 hours, but also dozens of military vehicles of different type, and also 2 Su-25 attack planes and 1 MiG-29 fighter jet. Many members of our community are surprised to hear that Kiev regime still has some planes left, but they do, I guess Western ruling class and NATO member states did all they could to collect all the Soviet-era planes worldwide and send it to Kiev regime, and that's why this high number of planes that are destroyed, Ukrainian planes that are destroyed by Russian forces. At some point, probably we will see day when Kiev regime will lose its last plane. That's been said, dear friends. Operational pause is holding all along the front line, and as I said, it will stay, in my understanding, this way until Russian winter offensive. Nothing is happening that can influence overall situation on any of the sectors of the front line in immediate future. And I will end short summary. Now I will repeat myself that there are military channels that are providing significantly more detailed information about these local scale skirmishes, and I definitely recommend those channels. You can see links under this video in the recommendation list: Military Summary, DPA War or Defense Politics Asia, Web Union, and of course host of Duran Show, Alexander Merkuris, provides us with great analysis of situation on Ukrainian battlefield on daily basis. That's been said, before I continue, dear friends, let me thank you once again for your time and attention. And of course, special thanks to members of our community that are supporting my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. Without you, this project with several channels on YouTube, Rumble, and Telegram will definitely not exist. So thank you very much. Let's continue with the additional news now. And RIA Novosti and many other media outlets, of course, in Russia are reporting and paying significant attention to Russian president's visit to UAE, United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia that took place yesterday. Many of you probably did see how well Russian president was received. In my life, I never remember any other leader being received in these countries with such a scale of hospitality, let's say. Although, of course, Middle East is famous for its hospitality, well, this time this topic is especially interesting because just about like several days ago in UAE, if I'm not mistaken, Blinken, head of State Department of US, was for quite some time was stuck in the plane basically, and was waiting before he will be greeted by local authorities when he arrived in Saudi Arabia. So you can clearly see difference in attitude of these crucial, very important Middle Eastern states, UAE and Saudi Arabia, towards US, towards Russia, and towards developments, global developments in this world. And when it comes to visit itself, substance, media are very scarce when it comes to this detailed information. Just a few sentences that leaders did spoke about Middle East and some other major issues. Of course, they did spoke about Middle East and the situation between Israel and Palestine. Of course, I'm quite sure they did talk about Ukraine also, at least partially. And I believe Russian president will provide his colleagues with some additional information about what is happening and what is Moscow's view on further developments. And I'm quite sure leaders did spoke about OPEC plus organization, because they all are major key players in OPEC plus and on the world energy market. And And of course, leaders of Russia, UAE, and Saudi Arabia did spoke about BRICS. BRICS because from 1st of January, Saudi Arabia and UAE will become members of BRICS. And also Iran, by the way. And Putin from Saudi Arabia, he did visit at first United Arab Emirates, then he went to Saudi Arabia, and after that he will go to, and already did, I guess, to Iran, and he will have a meeting with the leadership of Islamic Republic. And I guess very same topics will be discussed, because Iran is a major player on oil energy market, let's say, key regional state, of course, and Iran is also becoming a member of BRICS from 1st of January. So very serious visit in my understanding, and it will take some time. It will take some time to learn some more what kind of agreements exactly was achieved between the sides. There are so many directions that countries are cooperating and can have a significant influence, that I don't think it's worth to spend time on guessing now. So very important visit, and I will just highlight, dear friends, that probably many of you did see this video footage when plane of Russian president was escorted by Russian Su-35 fighter jets and armed fighter jets, by the way. It's a usual stuff when fighter jets are escorting planes of high-ranking officials over the neutral territories, let's say, but I never see that fighter jets with missiles on board, armed fighter jets, were allowed in the airspace of other countries. But UAE and Saudi Arabia, and I guess Iran also, to express their level of friendliness towards Russia, did allow Russian fighter jets to escort president's plane into the airspace also, which is quite unique stuff. I truly never see anything like that before. But anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Zelensky's critic was shot dead near Moscow. The body of former Ukrainian opposition lawmaker Ilya Kiva has been found in Moscow region, Russian media reported on Wednesday. The politician was known as a staunch critic of the President Vladimir Zelensky. This individual, former MP of Ukraine, was shot by Ukrainian terrorist who was operating under orders of Ukraine's secret services, and this was reported not just by Russian different sources, but also Ukrainian sources, and according to Ukrainian media, unofficially, Ukraine's secret services even confirmed that it's them that take a hit on this person. Unfortunately, this is not the first, and I'm afraid not the last case of terrorist activity of Kiev regime on Russian soil. I wonder how long it will take for Moscow to recognize Kiev regime as a terrorist regime and so-called state institutions of modern Ukraine as a terrorist organizations, because that's what they really are. They are conducting terrorist attacks on civilians on Russian soil on regular basis, and this issue had to be addressed one way or another. And it's not enough to condemn these actions. Some serious steps have to be taken, I believe, and not just from Russian security services, but also on a top political level, because modern Ukraine is a terrorist state, Kiev regime is a terrorist regime, and this issue has to be addressed by on political level, on state level, by Moscow. That's my understanding, and in confirmation of my vision of modern Ukraine, we have this information. which is reported by RIA Novosti, that former MP of People's Council of LPR, former MP in LPR, local MP, was killed in Lugansk yesterday as a result of terrorist attack. His car was blown up by Ukrainian terrorists. How is there any need for additional comment and explanation that Kyiv regime is really a terrorist regime? RT is reporting that Zelensky's top aide in Washington, during one of his interviews, did said that there is a high risk of defeat of Ukraine if Washington will not allocate promised tens and tens of billions of dollars for Kyiv. Let's read several sentences from here. So, Ukraine's President Zelensky's chief of staff has admitted that there is a big risk that Ukraine will lose its conflict with Russia unless the US Congress approves more funding to support Kyiv. Andrei Yermak was among a number of Ukrainian officials who swarmed Washington ahead of Senate vote on White House request for over 100 billion in aid for Kyiv, Israel and Taiwan, according to New York Times. As we all know, dear friends, and I did report about it yesterday, Zelensky in last minute refused to address US senators before that voting did take place without explanation. Some Ukrainian media outlets did write that Zelensky was angry and upset and not in the mood to speak to US senators. Okay, maybe he was overdosed really with some white powder or white substance. Anything is possible, but whatever the case, there was a huge, and still is huge, delegation from Kyiv in Washington, and they were trying their best to persuade US lawmakers to allocate this 61 billion USD for Kyiv regime that is included in Biden's initiative, but it did not work. It did not work, and when it comes to this part that there is high risk that Kyiv regime will lose, I will just comment that Kyiv regime already lost, and Western ruling class already lost this battle with Russia. No matter how much money or weapons will be poured into this conflict, it may prolong hostilities for sure, but battle effectively is over with and Russia is undoubtedly victorious in this regards. And I don't think anybody can argue with this. Kyiv regime and the masters of Kyiv regime in the West, Western ruling class, did lose this battle with Russia, not just on the battlefield, but also in political terms and geopolitical terms, in every sense possible. And well, RT is also reporting that US Senate blocked Ukraine's funding. A spending package proposed by the White House that includes over 60 billion in funding for Kyiv failed to pass in the Senate on Wednesday, failing short of the 60 votes necessary to proceed. Well, no surprises here. Republicans, some part of Republican Party, which is mainly in support of former president and possibly future president of US, Donald Trump, they are against this funding, and they are using this issue of funding Ukraine to promote their own political stands, especially when it comes to border security And also they are basically demanding answers from White House on what exactly this 61 billion will be spent in Ukraine. They want some accountability. And of course, you know my take on this whole story. I'm quite sure eventually military-industrial complex of US will manage, with use of its influence in Washington, to persuade corrupt politicians to vote for this Biden's bill, and some funds eventually will be allocated for Kiev regime, undoubtedly. Maybe not 61 billion, but 30 billion or 40 billion, which is a still huge amount. And just imagine how much good could be done in the US itself for US citizens with this amount of money. But, well, we all know that this is last paycheck for US military-industrial complex from Ukrainian conflict, and they will, of course, do all they can not to lose this paycheck, and corrupt officials in Washington will help them because they are paid by US military-industrial complex. Of course they will. Let's continue, and RT is reporting also that well, NATO warplanes will be a legitimate target over Ukraine, according to Moscow. And we are talking about statement of official representative of Russian Foreign Ministry, Maria Zakharova. Well, let's read a little more here. Russia will not hesitate to destroy US-made F-16 jets sent to Kyiv, even if they operate from bases outside Ukraine, Foreign Ministry spokesman Maria Zakharova has warned. Speaking at a regular briefing on Wednesday, Zakharova said that Russia was aware that the West would soon provide Ukraine with advanced fighters, the first delivery of which is expected next year. However, the spokeswoman pointed out that a significant part of Ukraine's airfield infrastructure has been destroyed, and those aircraft fighters may be operating from airfields outside the country, including in Poland, Slovakia, and Romania. Russian armed forces will consider fighters participating in the conflict on the side of Ukraine's military as a legitimate target to be destroyed. Zakharova further added that the upcoming F-16 deliveries led NATO to become even more mired in the Ukraine conflict, adding that by sending arms to Kiev, US-led military bloc is in fact waging hybrid war against Russia under the guise of saving Ukraine. Well, hardly anybody can argue with any of the points that was made by excuse me, Maria Zakharova. Let's see how will situation develop. Let's see how will situation develop, but it's first time, if I am not mistaken, that high-ranking Russian official, in this case representative of Russian Foreign Ministry, is openly declaring that planes over the Ukraine will be destroyed, even if they are taken off from neighboring countries, neighboring NATO countries, which may be indicator that possibly Moscow is considering to conduct some strikes on NATO bases from which these planes will operate. Zakharova did not say anything in this regard, nothing. She just said that if planes will take off from NATO airfields, it will not stop Russia to take some measures against them. But I believe a right response, logical response, will be to conduct strike on NATO bases itself, from which those planes are operating. So, yet again, if Washington and London will decide to escalate with Russia on such a level, then I guess Moscow, one way or another, but will be forced to respond with force. And my guess is that this is my guess only. No Russian official ever said anything like that, but my guess is that NATO bases from which these F-16s may operate on behalf of Kyiv regime probably will be targeted. And I remind you, dear friends, that lately many media outlets did report that Russian stockpile of cruise missiles and ballistic missiles reach 1,000 and possibly even more. Let's continue now. And TASS news agency is reporting that Peskov, press spokesman of Russian president, did made a statement that decrease in Western financial and military aid to Kyiv regime don't necessarily means that preparations are taking place for negotiations between Moscow and Kyiv, or Moscow and major capitals in the West. According to Peskov, it's just an internal issue of the West. This topic of weapons and money, maybe that's the case, but maybe not. Who knows? But I mean, we all discussed many times before this issue that. It was like 2 months ago already was clear by articles that we see in Western propaganda outlets, main propaganda outlets of the Western ruling class, that their major capitals in the West were preparing ground to distance themselves from Kyiv. And I did report about it so many times. So for us, there is no surprises here. For us, I mean, nothing is new. But for some other people who may be just watching some propaganda outlets and never heard about independent channels, independent sources of information, for those people, everything that is happening now may be shocking. Who knows? Let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that, well, despite the fact that Kyiv regime will not yet receive tens of billions of dollars from US, Washington did manage to send or allocate for Kyiv additional $175 million worth of military equipment. This was announced yesterday, dear friends. Well, quite significant amount still. 175 million is quite a money, but of course nothing in the scale that will be even noticed on the front line. Let's say this way. And I remind you, dear friends, that Ukrainian officials did say quite many times that each day of military operations cost Kyiv about $100 million. So this money, or this aid, is just for 1.5 days or 2 days, let's say. I mean, let's be generous and say 2 days. That's it. Anyway, let's continue. And well, you're gonna find this information very funny, and interesting maybe also. RIA Novosti reports that Ukrainian delegation in Washington, despite the fact that this Biden's initiative, aid initiative, was blocked, at least for now, in Senate, they still are running around of US Capitol and demanding not just F-16s, not just those 61 billion US dollars and even more, but also just listen to it, dear friends. They want now Apache helicopter gunships. They want Black Hawk transport helicopters, and they want FA-18 Hornet fighter bombers also. So this and HUD, by the way, Oh, I almost forget. They also want THAAD air defense systems to be delivered to Kiev regime. So, I mean, I don't know what is wrong with these creatures. Maybe all of them are on some white substance and are unable to think straight. But whatever the case, that's what is happening, man. They are running around Washington and demanding Apaches, Black Hawks, FA-18s, and THAAD air defense systems. Crazy idiots, man. Laughing stock. That's what they are, man. Kiev regime at this point is definitely laughing stock worldwide, even in the West. Even in the West. RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian ambassador in the US, Antonov, Anatoly Antonov, did comment on statements of Biden, who said that if Russia wins in Ukraine, then after that Moscow will begin attacking NATO. Biden made some quite cringe statements yesterday. I mean, his speechwriter maybe also on some substance, I don't know. And Antonov did comment on it and said that Washington finally lost contact with reality, because it's just unimaginable when nuclear superpower openly talking about direct conflict with another nuclear superpower without understanding how devastating this would be. And Biden, dear friends, yesterday did openly said that there are chance that US will engage Russia directly militarily. Crazy stuff, but yet again, if anybody thinks in the West, and I can understand that that's a Western propaganda, that Russia will not stop in Ukraine and Russia will attack these countries and that countries, and if Russia is not provoked, Russia will attack nobody. And if Ukraine have not been used by Western ruling class to provoke Russia, between Moscow and Kiev relationships would be quite okay. But I remind you, dear friends, that in 2014 it was Washington, London, Brussels and other capitals in the West that basically played a key role in armed coup that took place in Kiev, isn't it? When elected president basically was forced out of office and out of country. We may have different opinion about Yushchenko, isn't it? That's what was the name of that president, man? Let me check now. No, not Yushchenko, man. Yushchenko was also president, but before I cannot even remember his name. I don't care, man. Whoever was president in 2014 in Ukraine, we may have a different opinion about him. I definitely have no respect to that individual. I can't even remember his name. But he was elected president of Ukraine and overthrown by Western ruling class with active use of Ukrainian Nazis. And after that, there was provocation after provocation, provocation after provocation against Russia, and eventually in February 2022, Moscow reacted. And if there will be no provocation from any other country against Russia, you know, Russia will, of course, did not even think to take any military action against them. So this is all BS, dear friends, that Russia will, after Ukraine attack Baltic states, Russia will attack Eastern Europe, Poland, I don't know, Germany. Really? I mean, why? Why Russia needs that? There is no logical explanation why would Russia do this. And because of it, Western, these so-called elites are saying just straight up crazy stuff like, because Putin is imperialist, I mean, he wants to conquer entire world. I mean, that's all they have, only explanation. Because they are idiots, man. They are liars and idiots, and basically, indirectly, that's exactly what Russian ambassador said, in my interpretation, that they lost completely Washington, and I guess we can say it about entire ruling class of the West. They lost touch with reality completely, which is 100% true. It's true. They have no idea what the hell is going on in this world. They think world is running around them, but it's not like that. Western ruling elites, they are nothing in this world. Nothing. They mean nothing, and they will stay nothing forever. That's it. And, you know, maybe some time ago, those generational criminal clans that rule the world, they had some power, and they did. But right now, world is very different, and this generational families or clans that still running Western world definitely mean nothing to the rest of the world. And I remind you, dear friends, that Western world is about billion people, and the rest of the world is 7 billion people. So vast majority of world don't care about Western ruling class at all, and what they have to say. They mean nothing to them. Anyway, let's continue, and this factual information makes those ruling elites of the West go crazy, man. You know, and that's why in nowadays Western world is acting this crazy, man. Western ruling elites, and unfortunately citizens of those states have no say in this regards. Maybe many people in the West, and of course many people in the West, do understand that something crazy is going on, but they have no say. System is built in those countries in a way that ordinary people just are unable to influence on almost anything, really. But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti reports that well, something very strange is begun to happen on border crossings between Poland and Ukraine recently. And point is that Polish customs began checking paperwork for truck drivers on the border with Ukraine, paperwork about their goods, and usually significant number of those trucks were declaring that they are transporting humanitarian aid for Ukraine. And since Polish customs services began checking paperwork and the goods, they did realize that eventually, I mean, surprisingly, volume of humanitarian aid decreased significantly. And well, what was going on is that because Poland was quite reluctant to, you know, when it comes to transfer of goods from EU to UK, I guess Kyiv regime and also businesses in Ukraine did use this opportunity, and they were declaring goods as a humanitarian aid, and they were paying no taxes to Poland, in Poland. But once customs services began checking, they did realize that if they are not declaring goods as they are for profit, then they will end up in jail, because that's a crime. And therefore this Kiev regime and Ukrainian businesses are now forced to declare whatever they are importing in Ukraine from EU. So that's yet again attitude of Ukraine towards Europe and towards Poland also, dear friends, because this Kiev regime and these Ukrainian businesses were fooling Poland and basically avoiding taxes that had to be paid in Poland. And they dare to criticize Polish truckers and Polish farmers for protecting their own interests and their own businesses. And that's quite interesting. I guess many people in Poland gonna be upset, very much upset with this information and with many things in regards to Ukraine. By the way, relationships between Ukraine and Poland not really that great as some want to, portray. That relationships are very tense in reality. And not all Polish people, by the way, forget what Ukrainian Nazis did to Poles during the Second World War. Maybe some people forget about it in Poland, but not all. That's for sure. And they are very much not happy that Warsaw was supporting and still supports, even if with a smaller scale, this neo-Nazi regime in Ukraine. But let's continue, and next big topic, of course, is the Middle East. And TASS News Agency is reporting that in Israel, yesterday, landed a cargo plane from US, which was 200. That plane did become 200 of the cargo planes that transfer military weapons, military stuff to Israel, basically. And of course, planes are, fast way to move goods, but main supply route is, of course, through ships. And Israel definitely receives much more munition and weaponry through maritime routes, of course. But this is also interesting that how urgently Israel needed weapons, that already 200 flights were conducted from US to Israel to deliver some munition and weapons. And when it comes to escalation, between Israel and Palestine, unfortunately, process of de-escalation is not even in sights yet. Netanyahu's government is unwilling to talk about possible, at least another temporary ceasefire in the region. RT is reporting that Venezuela, dear friends, mobilizes its army. That was reported by El País. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has sent troops to the border with Guyana in preparations for claiming 160,000 square kilometers of territory known as Esequibo, according to Spanish daily El País. An unknown number of Venezuelan troops has been dispatched to Puerto Barima in the state of Delta Amacuro. The Spanish outlets said, meanwhile, Maduro has unveiled a new map of Venezuela, incorporating the territory dubbed Guyana Esequiba. After 10.4 million Venezuelans voted to approve such a move in a referendum on Sunday. So there was a referendum, and majority of Venezuelans did vote for integrating this region of Guyana into Venezuela. And well, very significant developments are happening in this part of the world, and one may hope that actions of Caracas will not provoke regional war, because first of all, it's Western energy companies that has some interest in Guyana, exactly in those territories that Venezuela has claim on. Because it's a Western energy companies, we should assume that Western ruling class is also interested to hold on to those territories, and they can escalate significantly a situation not just inside the Venezuela with the assets, but also around the Venezuela. And I remind you, dear friends, that at this point Caracas has quite difficult relationships with Bogota, with Colombia, and with almost all its neighbors. Almost all its neighbors, and US, even Brazil, by the way. Even Brazil. Although I'm quite sure Brazil will act cautiously, but still, Caracas is walking on a knife's edge in this situation, and unfortunately there is a risk. There is a risk that a US ruling class, or let's say Western ruling elites, may create or provoke some regional war in this part of the world. Let's hope it will not happen, and this issue will be resolved somehow peacefully. But there is a quite high chance of further escalation, I'm afraid. Let's continue anyway, and TASS news agency is reporting that Japan to introduce sanctions against countries that help circumvent anti-Russian measures. Only question, I mean, why? Why Japan? But, you know, it is what it is, man. So Japan will expand its anti-Russian sanctions over the situation around Ukraine before the end of 2023, expanding them to cover third country organizations that allegedly help in circumvention of restrictions, the Japanese Foreign Ministry said after the online G7 meeting which took place on Wednesday. Well, Japan is a colony of Washington. Japan is occupied by US, and that will explain everything, really, because I don't think it's in Japanese interests to escalate with Russia. They may only lose with this escalation, but because they are acting not according to interests of Japan, but according geopolitical interests of US or Western ruling class, we can clearly see what kind of actions they are taking. They are puppets, man. Japan is led by puppets of Washington. Japanese prime minister is a puppet. And that's it, really. No respect for leadership of Japan whatsoever. I cannot have respect for that kind of trash, really, that cannot stand for their own countries and for interests of their own people, and are acting on behalf of some third countries, like in this case for US and the Western ruling class in general. Let's continue. RT is reporting that relationships with Moscow saved us at the Times, was said by Foreign Minister of India, Jaishankar, Subramaniam Jaishankar, legendary foreign minister for sure of our times. That's the very opposite of Japan. If Japan is a colony, and has no say, and Japanese leadership is, I mean, some disgraceful crap, then in India we have very different story. In India we have very different story. And recently I did watch video when Jai Shankar did spoke about relationships with Russia and how relationships with Moscow even saved India at the times. So let me read some sentences here, and then I will continue comment on the topic. So the ties between India and Russia that have accumulated over the period of 60 years have saved New Delhi. At times, India's external affairs minister Subramaniam Jaishankar has asserted 2 months after he described the relationships between the two countries as extremely steady. Speaking at the Global Technology Summit in New Delhi on Monday, Jaishankar noted that ties have been forged over the past 5 or 6 decades at the direction of the world politics, adding that the voyage of history is another defining aspect of the relationships. And dear friends, of course, you know that in 1971, there was a war between India and Pakistan. At the time, West Pakistan, which is a modern Pakistan, was struggling for control over the East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh, independent state. And India was in support of struggle for independence of Bangladeshi people, and after all, huge number of refugees from Bangladesh were pouring in India, and eventually war broke up between Pakistan and India. And you guess who did support Pakistan in that conflict? Entire collective West, with very few exceptions. Entire collective West was in support of Pakistan. They even sent fleet, by the way. They even sent fleet, US, UK, France, if I'm not mistaken. They did send fleet towards India, including aircraft strike groups, dear friends. And India's fate was, I mean, on under question at that point as a state. And who protect India? Who stand for India? It was Moscow. Moscow sent its Pacific Fleet, including nuclear-capable warships, towards India, and basically they stopped this armada of Western fleet. It was Soviet Union that stopped this armada of Western fleet, who will decimate India for sure. And many Indians do remember this, that Moscow stand for India in that very critical times, dear friends. In that very critical times. And I guess Jai Shankar, while speaking about historical ties and times that India was saved, at the times, that's exactly the times, one of the episodes that he was referring to, 1971. And well, I find it really strange that Western so-called politicians and so-called journalists time to time are questioning India's policies, and even Jai Shankar himself, foreign minister of India, why they are not and criticizing why India is not cutting ties with Russia. And well, answer is very simple. In decisive moment for India's statehood, it was Moscow next to it. and it was Western major capitals that were against India. It's simple. It's simple. And no matter how influential Western ruling elites think they are, India is managing to operate independently, and conduct independent foreign policies, which cannot be done by, for example, Japan or Germany or many other countries that are colonies of the Washington and somewhat London also. So quite interesting news. Once again, demonstration of friendly attitude from India towards Russia, and the demonstration that they do remember history, and they know that this close ties between India and Russia, although there was some difficulties also by the way, in relationships. There was some difficulties, but those difficulties were always overcome, and relationships did stay always friendly between the sides. And well, let's continue with several news about some economical stuff. RT is reporting that Indian government is considering to allow delivery of million metric tons of wheat from Russia, and could cut import duties by almost half. The New Indian Express reported on a Tuesday. Well, this is, I guess, another way that India can make some significant profit, by the way, by trading with Russia. As you know, India is buying huge amounts of Russian oil, and then some of it is used in India, and some of it as oil or as oil products after processing is sold into the third countries, and Indian companies are profiting quite well, which is good for India and good for Russia, because Russia is selling its oil. And very same very same relationship may develop in other sectors of the economy also. In this particular case, wheat, why not? India can buy millions of tons of wheat from Russia, reprocess it, and then some of it used in India itself, and some of it for re-export, and make some additional, money from that, which is great. Yet again, beneficial for both countries, and well, I'm all for that. I see India as a strategic partner for Russia, man. I see India as a most important country for Russia in this world. That's how I see India. Because for Russian security, for Russian security, strategic relationships with India is crucial. I am 100% sure about it. It's most important. Of course, relationships with many other countries are also important, undoubtedly, but India is definitely number one, in my list at least, when it comes to strategic partnership. And I guess for India it's the same. Yeah, for India it's the same, for very same reason, by the way. For very same reason, to make sure that relationships with China will be smooth always. Between, relationships between Russia and China, and India and China. And if Moscow and New Delhi are in very close partnerships, then that's additional stimulus for Beijing to maintain this smooth, friendly, as much possible friendly relationships, because we all know that New Delhi and Beijing are, do have some issues when it comes to relationships, especially, on the borderline. But anyway, let's continue. And well, RT is reporting that African nations are buying over 30% of weapons exports by Russia. Dear friends, we'll remember Ursula Bursula's statements that Russia is like taking chips from washing machines and stuff, isn't it? And well, while we are taking chips from washing machine, we are somehow managing to, you know, not just producing our weapons for needs of Russian army, but also to export weapons outside. And well, African countries have brought more than 30% of the weapon systems exported by Russia so far this year, TASS reported on Monday, citing Alexander Mikheyev, CEO of Russia's main arms exporter, Rosaboron Export. Rosaboron Export is a corporation through which all other companies basically are selling its weapons, almost all of them. Not all, but it's a kind of monopoly, really, on this segment. It's state-run corporation. And state is basically in charge and supposed to be in charge when it comes to arms sales, 100%. According to Mikheyev, the company currently cooperates with 80% of African countries, while contracts on the continent are expected to exceed 5.2 billion by end of 2023. 5.2 billion, maybe it's not something extraordinary, but still quite a number, really. Well, Rosaboron Export chief's statement comes on the heels of the third international exhibition for defense and military industries, EDEX 2023, which is taking place in Egypt from Monday to Tuesday. More than 400 companies from 46 countries are taking part in the event, which is being hosted by Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi at the Cairo International Exhibition Center. So, well, quite interesting news, isn't it? Interesting news that Russia is managing not just to take chips from washing machines, you know, but also to create some goods from you know, from these chips from washing machines, and then export it for billions and billions of dollars. Well, poor Ursula Bursula, man. What is wrong with her? And probably she did truly believe that Russians are taking chips from washing machines, man. I guess she's so ill-educated and so ill-informed that probably she definitely believed in that crap that she said. And probably she still believes that Russian economy is in tatters. Tatters. Crazies, man. Funny, crazy people, but very dangerous. But very, very dangerous, man. That's the unfortunate part of it. But anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Cuba has started accepting Russia's Mir payment card at point of sale terminals. The press service of the Russian National Payment System has said, according to a statement released on Tuesday, the cards will first be accepted in popular tourist locations, including the Cuban capital Havana and the resort town of Varadero. Tourists from Russia can now use Mir's cards to pay in stores, hotels, restaurants, and other commercial and service establishments throughout the country, the statement reads. Well, great news. So great news, dear friends, for Cuba, great news for Russia, for potential tourists from Russia. Well, I have relatives in Cuba, close relatives, and I only wish all the best for Cuba, dear friends. I know in US there is a huge community community from Cuba that left after revolution, and relationships from you know, between these two communities in Cuba and let's say in Florida are not always in the best terms, but I mean they have to be some reconciliation for sure, and dear friends, Cuban people definitely deserve relief, definitely. This country, society in Cuba, under illegal US embargo for decades and decades and decades. And I hope not just Russia, but also China, India, Brazil, South Africa, other BRICS countries that will join soon from 1st of January will do everything they can to help Cuba in every way possible. In every way possible to overcome all the difficulties that was created by US and ruling Western class by imposing these illegal, absolutely illegal sanctions on Cuba. So great news, great news. I'm happy for Cuba, and well, hopefully one day we will visit Cuba. We were there some years ago, and in Havana and in Varadero. So I'm familiar with these places, and well, I would like to travel to Cuba whenever we will have a chance, opportunity. It's a great place. It's a great place, great people, wonderful music. Everything is wonderful about Cuba, man. Everything. Let's continue. RT is reporting that Russia and Vietnam ditching dollar in trade. Also interesting, process of de-dollarization is, as I said many times before, unstoppable and will only continue. Only further escalate or become even in the even faster. So trade settlements in national currencies between Russia and Vietnam have skyrocketed this year. Olga Basho, VTB's head of international settlements, told the RIA Novosti ahead of investment forum Russia calling 2023. Well, great. I will not go into details, but process of de-dollarization is definitely beneficial for every country at this point. Every country, because it's obvious that Washington is using dollar as a weapon, and nobody is safe. Let's say it this way. And every country does understand this, and that's why we clearly can see that businesses and states are moving away little by little. It's not easy process, but eventually dollar will lose its influence that it has right now, for sure. And all to blame for actions of government of US, really. And this is gonna be last news for today's update. TASS News Agency reports that Times Magazine, according to Times Magazine, Person of the Year is Taylor Swift, singer, pop singer. Okay. Something non-political I choose to end this update, and even though I don't know any of the songs of Taylor Swift, I'm very well aware that just recently she had a immensely successful tour in US, and not just in US but in some other countries. She is very popular in the West and worldwide, I guess. I just don't listen to, I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know. I do know some pop songs, but I never listened to her in my life, which is, I guess, quite strange. But well, it is what it is. Congratulations to her. Well deserved, I guess. In these crazy times, I guess Times Magazine chose not to be controversial and not to place any of the world leaders in its front page, and chose Taylor Swift instead, which is okay decision. Why not? She is a very popular, very successful, respected artist, and well, great for her. And this is it for now, dear friends. I'm gonna you know, listen to some of her songs, because probably I'm one of the very few on this planet who did not know even a single song of her. But anyway, I will end this update here. How long is this video? Hour and 10 minutes. Okay, still too long, but well, I hope you will find the news that I pick for this update interesting and important. And if so, dear friends, please click that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and as many comments as you possibly can. I guess comments and likes are only way we can somehow fight back immensely unfair and aggressive YouTube's algorithm. And for very same reason, if you can, dear friends, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends. And well, finally, if you think this channel is interesting, useful, informative, and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, buy me a coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.